Hi guys, this is me, Rusty 78609 in Central Texas, USA, and got another comment I'm going to respond to this morning. And this one was related to how to keep safe from spiders, biting insects, snakes, etc. while you're traveling in your Prius. Uh, Let me give you some background. I was born and raised in a little town, South Texas, on a farm, and I grew up around snakes and insects and rodents and all kind of things, and never had a problem. So I don't think that it's a big issue. However, let me say this: when you're traveling in New Mexico, particularly in Arizona and the Four Corners area, they do have occasionally rodents that carry uh, disease. And so you don't certainly don't want to get bitten by one, but your chances of that happening are winning the lottery. Also, what you don't want to do is if you see uh, a dead animal, rodent, do not pick it up. Do not touch it with your hands. Uh, the diseases can be transmitted just by that little bit of touching the dead animal. So don't do it. Uh, as far as biting spiders, ticks, etc., I've never been bothered by them. And one of the ways to avoid them is, to stay on the well-worn paths, where the tourists have walked. Of course, that takes care of most of it. But now, if you go out in the forest and you just walk around in the raw, bare forest, and you stand still for a length of time, then if there is a tick, or particularly chiggers also, they're going to get on your shoes. And then the next thing, they're going to be on your legs. And the next thing, they're on you. So, how do you avoid that? Well, what I do is I take a spray, an insect spray, and you can get any insect spray you want. I just happen to choose a DEET-free insect spray. Any and DEET works. I just don't want it on me. Now you can use DEET on your shoes and stuff. I don't think it's a good idea to have it on your skin, but that's just my own opinion. But yeah, get you an insect spray or repellent and spray it on your shoes and on your socks if you're wearing socks, and if you're wearing long pants, spray the bottom part of your pants, and you won't be bothered. That'll keep off the chiggers. That'll keep off any little crawling insects. If they get close to your shoe and it's got an odor they don't like, they're not going to even give it a shot. But and also, and I do this occasionally when I'm camping because I wear shorts a lot, and I usually wear Crocs, and about half the time I'm wearing them with no socks. But what I do before I climb into bed at night or in the evening is I take a chair, I'll sit in my chair and I'll look at my legs and just be sure, because a tick, they're sneaky little rascals. You won't even know they're there. And, if you're not looking for them, you're not going to see them. So again, check for the ticks. It just takes a minute. Just kind of look over your legs. What big deal. And as far as chiggers, if you've sprayed around, they're not going to bother you. But the chiggers are a little irritating too. They're just little things that kind of get under your skin, and they're not going to cause any illness. Now ticks, some of those can cause some illnesses. Have I ever been bothered by it? No. Do I know anybody that has? No. But you do need to be aware of these things. As far as biting spiders, yeah, they're out there. Everything in the world's out there, and it doesn't know who you are. And so, have I ever been bitten by a spider? No. Did I grow up in an area where there were black widows and brown recluses and other things? Yes. And but again, you got to work at getting bit by a spider. I mean, seriously, they are not going to attack you. Uh, you have to put your hand on it, or it has to. Somehow you've got to aggravate it for it to bite you. Same way with a tarantula, even though they're not poisonous anyway. Uh, But and then the next item the fellow mentioned in his comment that I'm responding to, not only was it primarily by spiders and biting insects and stuff, the other item he mentioned was snakes. Now, in New Mexico, North Texas, probably Arizona too, the one you are mostly concerned with is the rattlesnake. And again, I grew up in South Texas. There are rattlesnakes. I've heard them rattle many times. And when you hear them, you never forget it. But that's a warning. That snake's just telling you, don't do it. But here's the damn thing about rattlesnakes. Whenever you hear them rattling, you cannot tell exactly where they are. I mean, I swear they can throw their sound away from their own body some way, because it'll sound like it's in some brush right next to you, and it may not be. But again, if you hear the rattle, then just move away slowly in the direction you feel is away from the sound. Use your own instincts, and believe me, they'll come alive real quick with a rattlesnake. Are rattlesnakes aggressive? No. Well, yes, the only time they will be aggressive is when they're either coming out of hibernation in the spring, which runs, say, March through middle of May, probably is the end of that, maybe the end of May. And if you get near their nest by pure accident, then yeah, the old mama going to come let you know that you shouldn't be there. But again, they know they can't eat you, and sometimes a rattlesnake will strike a human and not inject any venom. And the reason is they can do that selectively. And if it's an object which they know they can't consume, some of the time they do not inject the venom. But if you ever get bitten, of course, you make the assumption they did and seek health care as quickly as you can. What could you do? It used to be, you cut an X on the wound and try to suck the poison out. If you're near your vehicle, my recommendation is get in your vehicle and head as rapidly as possible to healthcare facilities, wherever they happen to be. Because the more you move, the more you're pumping that venom into your bloodstream. And that venom is basically a digestive fluid. That's all. It enables the rattlesnake to digest whatever it strikes. And that's just the first phase. And so as little movement as possible. But if you're on a trail and you're a mile from your vehicle or whatever, then I wouldn't suggest running. Don't do that. If you can, you got some way to tie it off, if it's your bottom of your leg or your arm or whatever, if you can tie it off, but don't tie it so tight that you completely cut off the circulation. And, but get it snug, because that will slow down the movement of the venom. A rattlesnake bite's deadly? Not rarely. Now, several bites. Now, if you get bit several times, then your chances of living go way down. But usually, if you get bit, it's just going to be one time. Your chances of living are very high. And but the way to avoid rattlesnakes, of course, in the spring they're more active, and in the fall when they're going into hibernation, the same way. But during the summertime, in the heat of the summer, from June through the end of September, probably in that area, they're in the shady parts where it's cool. And if if you're climbing mountains and so forth, you could run across a rattlesnake. I've been camping in a number of places where there could have been rattlesnakes, but no one even ever saw one. I mean, I remember I was volunteered as a interpretive ranger at Gila Cliff Dwellings north of Silver City, New Mexico, and we had a rattlesnake in the trail one morning. And of course, in a national park, you're not supposed to disturb the wildlife, so we had to wait until the rattlesnake decided to move, and finally it did. But the reason they're in the trails and on the roads is they're cold-blooded, and they go there because those trails are warm, and that's where they pick up their body warmth. And but again, as far as being attacked or charged by a rattlesnake, I've never in my life. I'm 70 years old, lived on a farm, been out in brush, pastures, under our barn. We had a barn with hay in it, climbed around in the hay, under the barn, everywhere in the world you could possibly be. Never got bit. There was four in our family, four children, and none of us ever got bit. So it's really, really a very, very, very rare occurrence, more like getting struck by lightning. So I wouldn't be that worried about it, but be aware. There's nothing wrong. Being a little aware or being a little paranoid will keep you alive. Being a lot paranoid will get you put away. So, you just want to be aware. You just, if you stay to the main trails, you're going to be all right. And the next thing, there is another little not a rattlesnake, but another snake we have in different areas of the southeastern or southwestern U.S. It's called a coral snake. And just remember this: red and yellow kills a fella. All right. And what that is, these little rascals, these little snakes, aren't very long normally. They're about, maybe 6, 8, 10 inches long, not very big. And they don't have the diamond-shaped head that most poisonous snakes have. If a snake has jaws, if it looks like it has jaws, it's probably poisonous. If it just has a pointed little head, it's non-poisonous. It'd be like a grass snake, okay? But a coral snake fool you because they don't have jaws. It doesn't look like a poisonous snake, but it's striped. Mother Nature has a way of warning you by colors. Some of the most colorful things on this planet are extremely toxic, and a coral snake is one of them. But red and yellow kills a fella. The little rings are red and yellow and black. If the red and yellow rings are touching, that's a coral snake. If the red and black rings are touching, that's a non-poisonous snake. That's a king snake. That snake's not going to bother you. But my recommendation, if it has rings on it and they're red and yellow, don't jack with it. As far as getting bitten by a coral snake, this is like winning the lottery 5 times in a row. The reason is they have to chew on you, and they got a little bitty mouth. And so, they could get you in here, or, it would be a very, very, very rare circumstance that a coral snake actually injected venom into a human being. But if they did, adios amigo. It ain't like a rattlesnake. This one's deadly. Coral snake will get you. Have I ever heard anybody getting bit by a coral snake? Not in my entire 70-year life. But we were made aware of it when we were children, and what they were and what to expect. Same way with rattlesnakes. We knew a lot about that sort of thing because, again, I was born and raised in South Texas. I spent my whole life in rural areas of Texas, very familiar. But the next thing, another thing to be aware of is rodents. Little gophers and stuff. Everybody wants to pet them. Everybody wants to hand feed them. Don't do it. Don't. Don't. And keep food away from your campsite. What I mean. Don't litter. I know this is all common sense, but if there's breadcrumbs on the ground or pieces of bread or pieces of sandwich meat, all that kind of stuff, you're going to attract everything that moves. You just became the restaurant for that whole area. And believe me, little insects bring big insects. Little things on the ground bring bigger things on the ground. And the next thing, you have a damn bear in your backyard. And bears, the only one you got to worry about there, in my opinion, is a grizzly. They'll get you. Have I ever seen one? No, not in the wild. I never have. And I've been in Colorado and northern New Mexico and northern Arizona and places where they say they're there. I didn't see any. But the black bear I have seen. And, are they aggressive? No, they are not. Unless you're the type of tourist that wants to get just the right picture and you keep moving in their direction. Well, you keep moving in their direction, they don't know who you are. And as far as they know, you're coming to kill them. all right? And they're going to bow their neck. They're not scared of you. Shit. So just get it through your head. Instead of getting the super picture, think about your super life that you might want to keep. And but anyway, that's about it for the insects, rodents, and snakes and stuff. Don't worry about them. Do not worry. If you're camping in a state park, national park, Bureau of Land Management, Corps of Engineers, primitive camping in a national forest, primitive camping in government lands, you're not going to be bothered, in my opinion, because when humans come into an area, we disturb everything. And when we disturb everything, it moves, it moves, it moves. Now, the only thing that doesn't move are the little squirrels and the little gophers and little things that live off what the tourists leave on the ground. All right? And then that starts the natural chain of events. Then that brings the coyotes and wolves or whatever. And, wolves don't, you'll hear them at night. They'll come right up by your car, but they're not going to do anything. They're going to check it out. And if they can't find anything easy to get to eat, they're going to leave. If you have food, particularly meat, don't keep it outside. Don't leave it outside. If you have an ice chest, which I take, I put it in the car at night. I do. I put it back in the car and leave it there while I'm sleeping, even though it's a little crowded sometimes. And the reason is a bear can smell that. And if it's outside your car and they can get their little hands in it, believe me, they can open ice chests. They can. They really can. And if you really wanted to be safe, you can put your food items that are opened into a bag of some sort and walk about 50 yards from your campsite and tie a string or rope around it and then pull it up in a tree about 15 feet or 12 or 15 feet off the ground if you can find a tree to do that. And then that solves the problem because that gets all the odor away from your campsite, and that's what you want to do. If you're in an area, primitive area. Now, if you're in, again, a national park, state park, Bureau of Land Management, all these other places where there's humans around all the time, don't have to worry about it. You can cook outside, make all kind of smells, and it's not going to bother you. But, just use the insect spray, check your legs before you go to bed, and also check your clothing. If you're wearing long pants, check your clothing because the little rascals will get on the outside. Have I ever seen them? No, but that's where they, once they get on your clothes, the next thing they're going to be in your car, and believe me, they can find you in that car. So, have I ever been bothered by that? No. Do I think anybody that I'm talking to will? I don't think so. I really don't. But all I can tell you is just be cautious. I mean, when I say cautious, I don't mean, looking around like, something's going to happen every second. Enjoy your trip, believe me. I mean, again, it's like winning the lottery. But again, thank the individual for the comment. I appreciate it. Again, this is my channel on YouTube is Rusty78609, all lowercase, no spaces. And if you want to leave a comment, do so. If you want to subscribe, do so. You're just going to get more stuff like this. And, if it's helpful, that's great. But be that as it may, enjoy your day. Big old thumbs up to you guys. And I'm in my RV, as you can see. There's the RV door right there. I got aluminum foil on it to keep the heat out during the summer, but I also leave it there because it adds a little privacy. But anyway, this is my studio. And enjoy your day. Carpe diem. Thumbs up. Bye-bye.